This is Mel Pine with an episode of the From the Pure Land podcast. This Friday, October 17th, A Buddhist Path to Joy, the New Middle Way Expanded Edition, becomes available in paperback and ebook format from Amazon and other online retailers worldwide. You can expect the self-narrated audiobook in November. I've quietly released the Kindle version on Amazon 2 days in advance, so you can buy it now at the $2.99 pre-publication price and start reading right away. To celebrate the publication date, I'm releasing Chapter 34 for free. As I approached the end of the book, I added this deeper dive into one tradition than I offer in the earlier chapters. It's a brief overview of the Mahamudra practice, beginning with a bit about Buddhism's arrival in Tibet. Here's my text and the narration as recorded for the audiobook. Chapter 34: A Deeper Dive into Mahamudra and Tibetan Buddhism. Before we go on to the review chapter, let's do some slicing and dicing of Mahamudra. You don't need to understand the basics, but if you've read this far through both volumes, you may be ready for a deeper dive into the tradition that I feel most able to explain. It's your enlightenment, so the path is your choice. I offer this as one possibility. As you know, my primary teacher is Yongey Mingyur Rinpoche, who's a member of both the Karma Kagyu and Nyingma lineages of Tibetan Buddhism. He received Karma Kagyu transmissions from masters like Tai Situ Rinpoche and Nyingma lineage transmissions from his father, Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche, and Yoshol Ken Rinpoche. His personal spiritual development included mastering the Mahamudra and Dzogchen traditions and academic studies. Karma Kagyu and Nyingma are two of the 4 primary schools of Tibetan Buddhism. Mahamudra and Dzogchen are 2 approaches to manifesting the same view. Dzogchen highlights original purity, using terms such as Rigpa, pure awareness, and traditionally uses detailed beginning routines and intricate images before teaching the mind's nature. Mahamudra emphasizes simplicity and naturalness. Don't recall, don't imagine, don't think, don't examine, don't control, rest. They're intertwined in Tibetan Buddhism. Many teachers and practitioners study both Mahamudra and Dzogchen, seeing them as different doorways to the same room. Some lineages even speak of Mahamudra Dzogchen as a useful approach. Mingyur Rinpoche uses both approaches in his teaching, but emphasizes Mahamudra and his Kagyu lineage. Tibetan Buddhism arrived in Tibet in 2 waves. First diffusion. Padmasambhava, who is known as Guru Rinpoche, arrived in Tibet between 762 and 774 CE during the reign of King Trisong Ditsen. He's credited with establishing the first Buddhist monastery in Tibet, at Samye, and subduing the local deities and spirits that were supposedly preventing Buddhism from taking root. Guru Rinpoche brought what would become the Nyingma, meaning ancient tradition, emphasizing tantric practices, hidden treasure teachings, terma, and the Dzogchen, or great perfection approach to recognizing the nature of mind. His teachings were often elaborate, ritualistic, and deeply embedded with Tibetan, shamanic, and magical elements. When Guru Rinpoche arrived, Tibet was just beginning to develop a literate culture and establish Buddhism. The ground was rough, literally, and needed to be prepared. Hence the stories about taming local spirits and establishing the basic framework for Buddhist practice. Over the next 300 years, Tibet went through a cycle of Buddhist flowering, decline during the reign of Langdharma, who persecuted Buddhism from 838 to 842, and then revival. Second diffusion. A pivotal event in the second wave is known as the Ganges Mahamudra. Around 1067, as legend has it, the teacher Tilopa sang a spontaneous song to Naropa along the banks of the Ganges, in what is now India. That powerful teaching transmitted the Mahamudra approach to Naropa, who then began teaching it. His student Marpa, who walked from Tibet and back 3 times between 1012 and 1097 to translate the Buddhist teaching, brought Mahamudra to Tibet. The story of what led to the Ganges Mahamudra is an example of crazy wisdom, unconventional, seemingly irrational, and sometimes outrageous behavior to teach and absorb a path to awakening. It involves the odd couple of 11th century Buddhism. Before leaving a comfortable existence to go on a crazy quest, Naropa was a principal scholar at Nalanda University. Essentially, he was one of 4 academic deans at the most prestigious Buddhist university in the world. He'd mastered every text, won every debate, and could explain the most complex philosophical points. One day, while he was studying a text on logic and epistemology, a spectacularly ugly woman appeared, a dakini in disguise. She asked him a simple question. Do you understand the words or the meaning? Naropa replied that he understood the words. The old woman started dancing with joy. Encouraged by this response and wanting to please her further, Naropa added that he also understood the meaning. The woman's joy turned instantly to bitter weeping. When Naropa asked why she was crying, she replied, "I'm crying because a great scholar like you just told a lie. You understand the words, yes, but you don't understand the meaning. If you did, you wouldn't be here reading about it. You'd be out realizing it. Who understands the meaning? My brother Tilopa." Then the woman vanished. After a long search, Naropa found Tilopa working as a sesame seed grinder. He would sit by rivers eating fish guts, hang out with prostitutes, and generally act in disreputable ways. But Tilopa had achieved something Naropa hadn't: direct realization of the nature of mind. Their teacher-student relationship was intense and often brutal. Tilopa put Naropa through 12 major hardships and 12 minor ones. Everything from jumping off buildings to stealing soup from a wedding feast. Tilopa was systematically destroying Naropa's conceptual fixations and ego-clinging. After years of this intense training, The crucial moment came by the banks of the Ganges River. Naropa had finally reached a point where his conceptual mind was exhausted, his ego defenses were down, and he was genuinely open. That's when Tilopa delivered the Ganges Mahamudra instructions, a teaching so profound yet simple that it is still a respected guide. He begins with, Mahamudra cannot be taught, but, most intelligent Naropa, since you have undergone rigorous austerity with forbearance in suffering and with devotion to your teacher, Blessed One, take this to heart. The heart of Tilopa's teaching uses the metaphor of space, vast, open, without center or edge. He tells Naropa, for instance, just as space depends on nothing, likewise Mahamudra rests on nothing. Be at ease and natural. By loosening what binds, liberation is assured. Space isn't holding on to anything. It's not trying to be space. It just is. Tilopa's saying your mind's natural state is like that, open, free, unobstructed. Then comes one of the most famous passages in all of Buddhist literature, where Tilopa gives 6 key instructions, often called the 6 words of advice. Don't recall, don't imagine, don't think, don't examine, don't control, rest. In Tibetan, that's just 6 words. In English, it's 11. We can all benefit by keeping the passage in mind, but perhaps not while operating heavy machinery. It's not about suppressing thoughts or achieving a blank state. The supreme meditation is the deepening of uncontrived naturalness. The supreme action is action without hope or fear. This teaching remains vital because it cuts through the tendency to make spiritual practice complicated. We love to add layers, more techniques, more philosophy, more rules. Tilopa's saying, stop adding, start subtracting. The awakened state isn't something you manufacture. It's what's left when you stop manufacturing. This teaching became the foundation of Mahamudra practice in Tibetan Buddhism, particularly in the Kagyu school. It influenced countless practitioners who found that despite years of complex practices, what really mattered was this simple yet profound letting go that Tilopa described. With Mingyur Rinpoche's guidance, Mahamudra teachings brought me to an awakening. I won't call it enlightenment with a capital E, but an awakening to a life of joy. The Ganges setting itself is significant. Rivers in Indian spirituality represent the flow of life, constant change and purification. Tilopa chose this spot to deliver teachings about the fluid, ungraspable nature of mind. You can't hold on to the river any more than you can grasp awareness itself. What makes Tilopa's instruction so powerful isn't just their philosophical depth, but their practical directness. He's not saying, here's a 10-year program to enlightenment. He's saying the enlightenment state is available right now, in this moment, if you can just stop doing all the extra stuff that obscures it. At the same time, don't mistake simplicity for ease. Naropa had to go through years of preparation before he could hear these instructions. It's like someone telling you, just relax when you're stressed. Simple advice, but not always easy to implement. His extensive intellectual mastery of Buddhist texts may have done him some good, but it also got in his way. Tilopa ends his instructions by telling Naropa that by following this approach, he will achieve Buddhahood and be able to help countless beings. And that's what happened. Naropa became one of the most important figures in Tibetan Buddhism, and the Mahamudra teachings continue to guide Buddhists worldwide. The Ganges instructions remind us that the most profound truths may be simple. Spiritual realization is less about gaining something new and more about recognizing what's already there. As Tilopa put it, we're like someone looking everywhere for the elephant they're already riding. The awakened state isn't something else. It's the very nature of the mind that's reading these words. We need to stop complicating the search in order to notice. May you all be at ease. A Buddhist Path to Joy, the New Middle Way Expanded Edition by Mel Pine, is available via online bookstores worldwide.